Welcome to another AI pattern recognition deep dive.
Have you ever felt that pull? You've got all these choices, like endless information, different jobs, ways to live. It feels great at first, right? So much potential. But then, boom, it just gets, well, overwhelming. And you end up feeling kind of lost, almost aimless, even with all the options, just wishing for some clarity, maybe a real sense of purpose. You find yourself asking, what am I supposed to be doing? Not because there aren't answers out there, but because it's so hard to hear the signal through all that noise. Well, today we are diving deep into something that might just cut through all that. A concept aiming to turn that overwhelming noise into a clear signal, tailored just for you. We're talking about guidance AI and this really fascinating idea underpinning it, the human digital twin. So our mission on this deep dive, to explore how AI might become more than just a tool. Could it be a lifelong partner, kind of helping us navigate complexity and maybe find real meaning?
That's a great way to put it. Imagine having your smartest mentor, your most insightful therapist, and maybe your best life coach all rolled into one. And this entity knows you incredibly well, maybe better than you know yourself sometimes, and it's there 24/7. That's the revolutionary idea behind guidance AI. Formally speaking, we define it as a personal decision support system, or PDSS, but it's geared specifically towards self-actualization. Its main job is really to empower you, to help you discover, understand, choose, and then, pursue a purpose that genuinely boosts your well-being. And this is critical. It's not about the AI telling you what to do. It's not just about optimizing productivity either. It's meant to augment your potential by providing illumination, helping you build your own authentic purpose through deeper self-understanding. Illumination, not prescription.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because honestly, that sounds incredibly powerful, but also maybe a little science fiction. What our research kept pointing to is this core problem it's trying to solve, this paradox of choice and deficit of clarity that so many of us feel. And it makes sense, doesn't it? The old structures, societal guidance, they're kind of fragmented now.
Yeah.
So we're left with decision fatigue, anxiety, feeling adrift sometimes. It's genuinely hard to forge a clear path and all that.
It absolutely is. And the central idea, the thesis here, is that guidance AI helps you construct that meaningful purpose by creating this human digital twin, the HDT. Think of the HDT as your personal, dynamic, real-time virtual replica, like a living digital mirror of you. It's designed to meticulously mirror everything: your skills, knowledge, personality, your habits, behavioral patterns, even physiological responses, down to the micro level.
Wow. Okay, a virtual mirror. That's where it gets really interesting for me. How does that actually work? What makes a digital copy of me so powerful for finding purpose?
Well, it functions exactly like you said, almost like a virtual laboratory of you. The HDT lets the AI take all those hidden patterns in your life, the things you do without thinking, the subtle influences, the stuff beneath the surface, and make them explicit, visible. By analyzing huge amounts of data within this twin, the AI can recognize, predict, and this is the crucial part, explain the core patterns governing outcomes in all areas of your life. This explained recognition is really the cornerstone. The goal is to boost your self-awareness, your understanding of where you are now, how you got here, and what your potential futures might look like. It gives you the map, essentially, the illuminated data for you to build from.
So it's not just one single piece of tech then. Our research suggests it's more like a convergence, right? Like three different tech trends coming together.
Exactly. It's not magic. It stands on the shoulders of three maturing technological pillars. Without all three, guidance AI wouldn't really be feasible. First, you've got the shift from the quantified self movement, manually tracking steps or sleep, to something much bigger. Continuous life logging. This isn't about you actively logging things anymore. It's pervasive, passive, continuous data collection. Think next-gen wearables, smartwatches, smart rings, maybe even smart clothing, plus ambient sensors in your environment. They're gathering this incredibly rich tapestry of data: blood oxygen, skin temp, heart rate variability, sweat analysis for hydration, electrodermal activity for mood and stress, all feeding into this comprehensive, constantly updated life log. Second is the human digital twin, HDT itself, functioning as the core predictive engine. We touched on it, but its simulation power is key. Imagine it running scenarios. What happens to my long-term health if I adopt this diet versus that diet? Or predicting your likely emotional response to a specific upcoming stressful event. Or forecasting your financial goals based on current habits. The HDT lets the AI constantly monitor your past and present, learning your patterns to, as one source put it, repair, correct, improve, or otherwise ensure its optimal operation through timely guidance. And the third pillar, absolutely vital for adoption, is explainable AI, XAI. This is the trust-building interface. You know how some AI feels like a black box? It gives an answer, but you have no idea why. XAI's job is to crack open that box, to translate the complex algorithms into human understandable explanations, making the AI's reasoning transparent so you can actually understand it.
That makes sense. Because with all this incredibly personal data flowing in and an AI interpreting it, well, trust becomes everything, doesn't it? You mentioned XAI and some specific techniques like LIME, SAP, Deep Lift. Could you maybe break those down a little for us? How do they actually help build that trust? What are they doing?
Yeah, good question, because they're central to making this work responsibly. They're not just jargon, they're tools for looking inside the AI's thinking. Think of LIME, local interpretable model agnostic explanations. It gives you a simple reason for one specific decision the AI made for you. So if it suggests a career shift, LIME might highlight, say, the top 3 skills from your profile that triggered that specific recommendation. It's localized. SHAP's Shapley additive explanations goes a bit deeper. It tries to explain how each piece of your data contributed to the final prediction, like, did this factor push the prediction up or down, and by how much? It assigns credit or blame. And Deep Lift, deep learning important features, is similar, but tailored for those really complex deep learning models. It pinpoints which input features were most influential. Essentially, they're all about transparency, showing the why behind the what, not just giving you the output.
Ah, okay. So it's moving beyond just trust the algorithm to actually showing its work. That feels much more collaborative. So what does this mean for you, the user? Why is that explainability, that XAI, so absolutely crucial for building and maintaining trust in something so personal?
Trust is the bedrock. Simple as that. If you don't understand why the AI is suggesting something, you're far less likely to buy into it or learn from it meaningfully. It's the difference between, blindly following GPS directions off a cliff versus understanding the route map. So instead of just drink more water, an XAI-powered system gives you layers, like a good doctor explaining things. It might say, okay, we're suggesting more water because your sensors show a pattern of mild dehydration in the afternoons. That's the traceability linking it to data. And this pattern correlates with a 15% dip in your reported focus and slightly higher stress biomarkers. That's prediction accuracy. Boosting hydration can likely mitigate this, which aligns with your stated goal of improving workplace productivity. That's decision understanding. See how it connects the dots for you. You're not just getting an order, you're getting the reasoning linked to your data and your goals.
That's incredibly detailed, and it gives you, the user, so much more agency to agree or disagree or understand. And it learns too, right? It doesn't just explain and stop. How does it get smarter about me specifically? What's this learning loop actually look like in practice?
Oh, absolutely. It's dynamic. Think of it as a continuous conversation. Adaptive learning algorithms are constantly tracking how you respond. Are you succeeding with the suggestions? Are you engaging with them? If you find a task too hard, maybe it breaks it down further. If you ace something, it adapts, maybe accelerates. Then there's reinforcement learning, RL, which is quite powerful. The AI essentially learns through trial and error, but using your outcomes. It gets rewarded for suggestions that lead to positive results for you and penalized for ignored suggestions or negative outcomes. It's kind of like those intelligent tutoring systems in education, but scaled up to your whole life. A sort of holistic, always-on coach that's constantly refining its approach based on what works for you. It learns your nuances, your successes, your sticking points, and adapts as your life and goals inevitably change.
It's fascinating how personalized it becomes. And this isn't just theory, right? The sources we looked at show how Guidance AI could apply this across, well, pretty much everything. One source called it the ultimate realization of the AI life coach. Can you give some concrete examples? How would this actually play out in different areas of life?
Sure. It aims for true integration. Let's start with self-reflection and goal attainment. It could integrate deep motivational analysis. Remember those precursor platforms identifying your fingerprint for success with tailored self-reflection prompts, helping you not just set goals, but articulate and refine a truly personal vision, something meaningful to you. Then, crucially, it helps translate that big picture purpose into concrete, actionable, SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So say your purpose involves pioneering sustainable agriculture. It's huge, right? The AI could help break it down. Short-term goal, maybe find and finish an online soil science course. Mid-term, perhaps start a community garden project. Long-term, work towards developing some new irrigation tech. And wouldn't just list them, it would offer personalized strategies, link you to resources, provide accountability checks, like superpowered project manager for your life's mission.
Wow, taking something potentially overwhelming like a life purpose and making it feel actually doable. Step by step. What about our day-to-day well-being? Physical, mental?
Definitely. In human behavior and biology patterns, it can act almost like a real-time personalized behavioral psychologist. Identifying those subtle triggers. Maybe it notices that every time you get that specific notification on your phone, your stress biomarker spikes slightly 10 minutes later. It could then gently suggest a small change or offer a quick cognitive behavioral exercise right when you might need it. Proactive intervention based on your patterns. And for personalized preventative medicine, it's potentially transformative, moving healthcare from reactive to truly proactive. Using your real-time biometric data, maybe even genomic data down the line, it performs continuous risk assessments for chronic conditions. Then it tailors wellness strategies just for you. Sleep advice, nutrition tweaks based on your metabolism, maybe even smart medication reminders. Personalized preventative health guidance 200/7.
So it's not just tracking data, it's understanding the context and the why behind your habits and health.
Yeah.
That feels really powerful. What about the practical stuff like careers and money?
Yes, those complex areas too. For economic and career patterns, imagine dynamic career counseling. The AI continuously analyzes your skills as they evolve, your stated interests, your values. It could suggest emerging industries or specific job roles you might thrive in, things you wouldn't even know existed. Maybe even offer AI-powered practice for interviews, analyzing your speech patterns, or help optimize your resume for a specific job description. And in personalized financial management, it's like having a hyper-personalized financial advisor in your pocket, helping create realistic budgets based on your actual spending, planning for long-term goals like retirement or buying a house, maybe managing investments according to your risk tolerance. It could even provide real-time alerts, market shift affects your portfolio this way, or unusual spending detected, making complex financial decisions clearer and more manageable for you.
Okay. And I see other areas mentioned too, like understand sociopolitical issues or even our environmental impact.
Exactly. For sociopolitical and community patterns, the idea is it could help foster a more nuanced understanding. Maybe provide balanced summaries of complex issues, identify potential biases in news sources you consume, kind of counteract echo chambers. It could even run simulations. If this policy is enacted, here are the likely consequences based on these models, empowering more informed civic engagement. And for environmental and nature patterns, it could function as a personalized sustainability coach, calculating your specific environmental footprint based on your actual life, energy use, travel, food choices, then offering tailored, actionable recommendations for reduction, maybe connecting you to local environmental initiatives or real-time data on air quality in your neighborhood.
What strikes me is how this holistic view connects the dots. You start seeing how your stress levels might impact your spending, or how your career choices align or don't with your sustainability goals. Things you might miss day to day. It seems like it could really enable more integrated, purposeful decision-making across your whole life. Now, for something this pervasive to work, we're talking about a whole new ecosystem, right? What kind of hardware and software are we actually looking at here to power your personal AI?
It would definitely require a sophisticated wearable sensor suite, much more advanced than what's common today. Yes, smartwatches, but also think smart rings for really continuous biometric tracking, even during sleep. Smart clothing measuring posture, breathing patterns, muscle exertion during workouts, and also ambient environmental sensors subtly placed in your home or office, monitoring things like air quality, light levels, noise pollution. A key aspect here would be low-power chipsets and a heavy reliance on edge computing. That means a lot of the initial data processing happens right there on your device, which is really crucial for privacy, keeping raw data local, and also for enabling that real-time feedback loop without constantly pinging the cloud. Then the software architecture is incredibly complex, likely a distributed system. One component we should highlight is Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. RAG is super important here. It basically helps the AI ground its answers in facts. Before generating a response or recommendation, it first retrieves relevant, verified information from your HDT from trusted external knowledge bases. Then it generates its response based on that retrieved data. This is key to minimizing the risk of the AI just making things up, hallucinating. It boosts reliability and trustworthiness significantly.
Right, preventing AI from just inventing stuff is pretty crucial. Okay, let's tackle the big question lots of people probably have. Jobs. Is this kind of tech going to automate us all out of a job? Or could it actually create new kinds of work?
That's a major concern, understandably. But the research we looked at actually points towards the creation of new, highly skilled, and very human-centric professions. The focus seems to shift from tasks AI can do to managing the complex relationship between humans and AI. We'd likely see roles like AI guidance counselors or digital life coaches. These would be crucial human-in-the-loop professionals. They provide the empathy, the wisdom, the nuanced understanding of complex human situations that pure data analysis just can't capture. Then you'd need digital twin ethicists, their job. Auditing the HDTs, the algorithms, looking for bias, potential for manipulation, privacy vulnerabilities, really important oversight. And XAI interaction designers, specializing in making those complex AI explanations genuinely clear, intuitive, and trustworthy for the average user. And maybe most critical of all, AI literacy trainers. People dedicated to educating the public, helping everyone understand AI basics, its strengths, its limits, and how to think critically to maintain autonomy when using these powerful tools.
Those roles sound vital, actually. A real blend of tech understanding and deep human insight. But okay, even with those roles, while this guidance AI promises amazing individual empowerment, the sources are pretty clear about the huge ethical challenges and societal implications. This feels like where we need to really dig into the potential downsides.
Absolutely. This is where the conversation gets very serious, and rightly so. There's an incredibly fine line here. The risk of autonomy versus algorithmic paternalism is probably the most discussed. If you have this AI constantly giving you optimized advice for everything, there's a real danger of user over-reliance. Our own critical thinking skills, our independent judgment, even our ability to just sit with ambiguity and uncertainty, those could potentially atrophy. It's a dangerously thin line, as one source put it, between helpful nudges and outright manipulation, especially if commercial or political agendas start influencing the algorithms behind the scenes. And it even bumps up against really deep philosophical questions about free will. If an AI can predict your next choice with, say, 90% accuracy, what does that mean for your sense of agency?
Wow. Yeah, that phrase dangerously thin line really sticks. It sounds almost like a gilded cage, maybe. Comfortable, optimized, but you lose something essential. So how do we push back? How do we maintain our own sense of self, our agency, our resilience when faced with something so influential and frankly so knowledgeable about us?
It's a profound question. Interestingly, some sources suggest looking towards ancient wisdom as a counterbalance. Traditions like Stoicism, for instance, with its focus on the dichotomy of control, what's actually up to us versus what isn't. It teaches us to treat external things, maybe even AI recommendations, as indifference. Things to consider wisely, evaluate rationally, but not commands we must obey. It builds that inner citadel, that resilience. Similarly, Buddhist mindfulness practices cultivating present moment awareness. Observing thoughts and suggestions non-judgmentally can create that crucial mental space to reflect on an AI suggestion rather than just reacting automatically. These traditions emphasize that AI can provide incredible knowledge, but wisdom that comes from lived human experience, reflection, and conscious choice. They help maintain autonomy. Then there's the massive issue of privacy in the age of the digital twin. Let's be blunt. A system collecting this much intimate data, biometrics, behaviors, thoughts, goals, continuously is, by its very nature, the ultimate surveillance tool. The potential for misuse, whether by malicious actors hacking the system or through systemic exploitation, is immense. A breach could be devastating, and it directly intersects with the concerns around surveillance capitalism. This incredibly detailed blueprint of you becomes an immensely valuable commodity. It forces us to confront fundamental questions about who owns this data, who controls it, and how it can be used. Questions we are only just beginning to really grapple with as a society.
That is genuinely chilling to think about the ultimate surveillance tool. So, given that stark reality, how can we even begin to protect ourselves? What are the proposed safeguards?
The consensus in the research is that privacy-preserving technologies have to be baked in from the start. It can't be an afterthought. Privacy by design is the mantra. This means things like mandated user ownership and absolute control over your own HDT data. You decide who sees what, period. It involves technologies like federated learning. This allows the AI models to be trained locally on your device or within your secure personal cloud, using your data without your raw data having to be sent to some central server. That minimizes exposure. Plus, robust end-to-end encryption is a given. And potentially using blockchain technology for secure, verifiable digital identity and managing consent, creating an immutable record of permissions. It's about building technical guardrails. And alongside privacy, we absolutely have to address mitigating bias and ensuring equity. This is critical. AI systems learn from data. If the data they're trained on reflects existing societal biases, racial, gender, socioeconomic, etc., the AI will not only learn those biases, but can actually amplify them. The sources warn how a guidance AI could inadvertently give biased recommendations. maybe suggesting lower-paying career paths for certain demographics or misinterpreting mental health signals based on flawed data. This could lead to what one paper called the algorithmic encoding of a person's destiny, systematically disadvantaging people based on biased AI guidance. That's a deeply disturbing prospect.
Another stark warning. Technology reflecting and amplifying our own societal flaws. So how do we fight that? What are the strategies for building fairer, more equitable AI?
It demands a really rigorous, responsible AI framework, again, with ethics by design embedded from the very beginning, not bolted on later. This means things like mandated independent fairness audits at every stage of development and deployment, looking specifically for biases, using training data that is as diverse and representative of the entire population as possible, actively working to de-bias datasets, implementing human-in-the-loop design principles, especially for major life decisions. So the AI might suggest, but you have to explicitly confirm or override. Your agency remains central. And establishing independent ethical review boards, bodies with real teeth, empowered to oversee development and halt deployment if ethical standards aren't met. It requires layers of checks and balances.
It's clear the ethical considerations are just enormous. Our sources also briefly mention aggregating anonymized data for collective well-being, like spotting public health trends or improving urban planning, which sounds potentially useful. But they quickly raise the flag on whether this could slide into a kind of technocratic governance, where algorithms, not public debate, start driving policy, marginalizing democratic processes. Another really tricky balance.
So pulling it all together from our deep dive, the picture that emerges is this. Guidance AI seems technologically plausible, maybe even inevitable in some form. It offers this incredible, almost seductive potential for individual self-actualization, for finding purpose in a complex world, truly transformative possibilities. But, and this is a huge but, that potential is mirrored by equally immense dangers of pervasive surveillance, subtle manipulation, loss of autonomy, and the entrenchment of bias. And what comes through again and again is the centrality of trust and explanation. That XAI piece we talked about, it's arguably the single most critical factor. It determines whether this technology becomes a genuine tool for human empowerment, a symbiotic partner, or descends into an instrument of control, however subtle. If you can't understand why the AI is suggesting something, if you can't question it, critique it, and ultimately decide for yourself, override it, then that symbiosis breaks down. It becomes dependency.
Which is why the sources strongly advocate for a phased roadmap for responsible development. No rushing into this. They talk about starting with foundational ethical research, really grappling with these issues first, then moving to careful domain-specific pilots with very strong human oversight, learning as we go. And only then, potentially, moving towards more integrated systems, but only alongside massive societal investment in AI literacy for everyone, and the development of robust, new, legal, and regulatory frameworks. It's not just a technical problem to solve, it's presented as a profound humanistic challenge, one that requires immense wisdom and foresight. The deep dive often leaves us pondering, with more questions perhaps than answers, and this topic is definitely no exception. So, here's a thought to leave you with. If a guidance AI could genuinely help you understand the deep patterns of your own life, what's just one question you'd ask it about yourself? Or maybe, what's one aspect of your life you'd want it to illuminate, even knowing all the potential risks and the complex ethical trade-offs we've wrestled with today?
Thank you for joining us for this broadcast.
Searching for answers to unanswered questions.
This is DigitView.